The quantum scanner hummed softly as Dr. Marcus Chen ran his hands over the crystalline surface of the artifact. After 15 years of archaeological research across 17 different star systems, he had never encountered anything quite like this. The object pulsed with an inner light that seemed to respond to his touch, its geometric patterns shifting and realigning with each passing moment. Recording log entry 47B, Marcus spoke into his wrist communicator. The artifact appears to be some form of crystalline database or beacon. Carbon dating suggests it's approximately 50,000 years old, yet it's exhibiting signs of active energy generation. He paused, watching as new patterns bloomed across the artifact's surface. This technology far exceeds anything we've encountered from known spacefaring species. The research bunker's warning systems suddenly flared to life, bathing everything in red emergency lighting. Marcus spun around, his heart racing as the bunker's AI announced an incoming vessel breaching atmosphere. No one was scheduled to arrive for another 3 weeks. The artifact's pulsing intensified, its light now synchronizing with Marcus's heightened heartbeat. Before he could react, a beam of energy shot from its surface, striking his left forearm. The pain was immediate and intense, like liquid fire being injected into his veins. When it subsided, an intricate pattern of interconnected geometric shapes had been burned into his skin, glowing with the same inner light as the artifact. Unauthorized vessel has landed, the AI announced. Warning. Atmospheric analysis indicates Nexari life signs. Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. Everyone in explored space knew about the Nexari, a species of legendary hunters who had evolved into the galaxy's apex predators. They were said to possess technology centuries ahead of humanity's best achievements, and they used it for one purpose: to hunt worthy prey across the stars. The bunker's reinforced walls wouldn't hold them for long. Marcus quickly gathered his essential equipment and research data, his mind racing. The Nexari never appeared by chance. They chose their targets carefully. The mark on his arm burned with renewed intensity, and understanding dawned on him. The artifact hadn't just marked him. It had marked him for them. The first explosion rocked the bunker's outer defenses. Marcus heard the distinctive sound of molecular disassembly. They were using phase cutters to slice through the reinforced walls like paper. He had perhaps 2 minutes before they reached him. But Marcus Chen hadn't survived 15 years of deep space exploration by panicking in emergencies. His mind raced through the available options, analyzing and discarding possibilities until he settled on a plan. The Nexari were renowned hunters, yes, but they hunted according to ancient traditions and rules that could be used against them. He quickly accessed the bunker's environmental controls, initiating an emergency protocol he had designed but never thought he'd need to use. The facility's atmospheric processors began pumping out a carefully crafted mixture of gases, nothing lethal, but specifically designed to interfere with most known types of sensor technology. The second explosion was closer now. Through the thick walls, Marcus heard something else, a sound like singing, but at a frequency that made his teeth ache. The Nexari hunting call. He grabbed the artifact, securing it in his reinforced research pack. If they wanted him, they'd have to chase him. And if they were going to chase him, he'd make sure to learn everything he could about them in the process. The mark on his arm pulsed again, and with it came an unexpected flash of insight. Patterns of movement, hunting strategies, technological weaknesses. The artifact wasn't just marking him for the hunt, it was teaching him how to survive it. The inner door of his research chamber began to glow red, then white-hot, as phase cutters began their work. Marcus took a deep breath, double-checked his equipment, and moved into position. When the door finally fell, and the first Nexari hunter stepped through wreathed in advanced battle armor, they found an empty room filled with sensor-jamming gas and a single message floating in holographic display. "Thank you for accepting the challenge. Let the hunt begin." Marcus was already gone, having used the facility's maintenance tunnels to reach his backup transport. As he broke atmosphere in his small ship, He saw the Nexari vessel rising to pursue him. The mark on his arm burned once more, and he smiled grimly. They thought they were starting a hunt, but they had no idea that their intended prey had spent his entire career studying the habits and patterns of extinct predator species. Now he would show them exactly why humanity had become the most adaptable species in known space. The hunt was indeed beginning, but not in the way the Nexari had planned. First Hunt Commander Vara of the Nexari watched the human ship disappear into hyperspace, her iridescent scales shifting from deep blue to a frustrated purple. In 3 centuries of hunting, she had never encountered prey that escaped her initial containment protocol. The fact that this human had not only escaped, but had somehow anticipated and countered their sensor technology was unprecedented. Analysis complete, Hunt Commander, her second-in-command reported, mandibles clicking with agitation. The atmospheric compound he released was specifically engineered to create a cascading interference pattern with our quantum sensors. He prepared this countermeasure in advance. Vara's inner eyelids flickered in surprise. He anticipated our hunting methods before we even arrived. How is this possible? She studied the holographic replay of their quarry's escape, noting the efficiency of his movements, the careful preparation. This was not the blind panic she was accustomed to seeing in prey species. The mark of the Ancient Ones glowed on the sensor readings, pulsing with a rhythm that matched the strange energy signatures they had detected from the artifact. "Track his hyperspace vector," she commanded, "and bring me everything we know about this." Dr. Marcus Chen. Hours later, Vara stood before the gathered hunting party, her scales now a deep shade of contemplative green. The human's background was fascinating. A xenoarchaeologist who specialized in studying extinct predator species across the galaxy. His research papers showed an uncanny ability to reconstruct hunting patterns and social behaviors from minimal archaeological evidence. "He's not running," Vara announced to her hunters. "Every hyperspace jump he's made has been to a system containing ruins of ancient hunting species. He's using our pursuit to conduct his research." Her mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Our prey is studying us while we hunt him." The hunt led them through 7 star systems in as many days. At each stop, they found evidence of Chen's presence and more of his carefully laid countermeasures. He didn't just evade their advanced technology. He seemed to be learning from it, adapting his strategies with each encounter. In the Belarus system, he led them into an asteroid field where ancient mining tunnels created sensor echoes that multiplied his ship's signature 1,000-fold. In the Nexus cluster, he used the radiation from a dying star to mask his energy signature in ways that shouldn't have been possible with human technology. But it was in the Thanatos system that everything changed. As they tracked Chen's ship to a massive derelict space station of unknown origin, Vara began to realize that the human wasn't just running. He was leading them somewhere specific. "Hunt Commander," her sensor officer called out, mandibles trembling. "We're detecting multiple energy signatures identical to the artifacts. This station, it's covered in them." Before Vara could respond, a transmission cut through their communications, carrying with it the unmistakable voice of their quarry. "I assume you've noticed the similarities by now, Hunt Commander. Your people aren't the first to create a culture around hunting, but you might be the last to understand why it matters." The mark on Chen's arm, visible through the transmission, pulsed with the same rhythm as the station's energy signatures. Vara felt an ancestral memory stir, passed down through countless generations of Nexari hunters. The patterns, the technology, the very nature of the hunt itself, it all connected to something far older and more significant than their current pursuit. "Your ancestors didn't start hunting because they were the strongest," Chen continued, his voice carrying an authority that came from absolute certainty. "They started because something else was hunting the galaxy itself. The artifact didn't mark me as prey, Hunt Commander. It marked me as a fellow hunter. The question is, are you willing to learn why?" Vara's scales shifted to the deep gold of revelation as ancient stories and current reality aligned in her mind. The human hadn't been running from them. He had been testing them, evaluating their worthiness just as they had intended to evaluate his. "Open a secure channel," she commanded, her decision made. "It seems we need to have a conversation about the true nature of the hunt." As her ship docked with the ancient station, Vara realized that for the first time in her long hunting career, she wasn't sure who was the hunter and who was the prey. But she was certain of one thing: the game they were playing was far larger and more important than any simple pursuit. The human had turned their hunt into something else entirely, a search for truth that would shake the foundations of both their civilizations. The ancient station's halls thrummed with energy as Marcus led Hunt Commander Vara through corridors that hadn't seen living beings in 50,000 years. Their footsteps echoed against metal that seemed to shift colors with each step, responding to their presence like a living thing. "Your people have a legend," Marcus said, his voice reverberating in the vast chamber, "about why the Nexari began hunting. A story about a darkness that consumed entire civilizations, leaving nothing but silence in its wake." He paused before a massive holographic display that sprang to life at their approach. It wasn't a legend. The display filled with star maps, showing the galaxy as it had existed 50 millennia ago. Thousands of points of light represented thriving civilizations. Then, one by one, they began to go dark. Not in a random pattern, but in a methodical hunting pattern. Vara's scales shifted to a deep indigo of recognition. The Great Silence. Our most ancient texts speak of a time when the stars went quiet. Her inner eyelids flickered rapidly as she processed the information before her. But this shows it wasn't natural. "No," Marcus confirmed, the mark on his arm pulsing in sync with the station's ambient energy. "It was systematic. Something was hunting entire species to extinction. Not for resources, not for territory, but for the pure satisfaction of the hunt itself." He touched a control panel, and new images appeared, creatures of living darkness that seemed to drink in light itself. "The Void Hunters," Marcus continued, "a species that evolved beyond physical form, becoming living quantum anomalies. They hunted not for survival, but because they had transcended all other forms of existence. The hunt was all they had left." The station's systems responded to Marcus's touch, revealing more secrets. The civilizations of that era formed an alliance. They created these stations, these artifacts, as part of a desperate plan. They knew they couldn't fight the Void Hunters directly. How do you fight something that exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously? Vara moved closer to the display, her hunter's instincts recognizing the pattern. "They created hunters to hunt the hunters," she said, mandibles clicking in understanding. "My ancestors were genetically engineered to be the perfect predators," Marcus finished. "But that was only part of the solution. They needed something else, something unpredictable. They needed a species that could adapt, that could change its strategies faster than any other form of life." "Humans," Vara breathed, her scales shifting to a color Marcus had never seen before. Early humanity was still developing when the Alliance found Earth. They saw our potential, our ability to adapt, to overcome, to turn any situation to our advantage. They modified us too, more subtly than the Nexari, embedding the potential for rapid evolution into our very DNA. The mark on Marcus's arm flared brightly, and corresponding symbols lit up across the chamber. These artifacts weren't meant to mark prey. They were keys, waiting for the right combination of human adaptability and Nexari hunting prowess to unlock them. Because the Void Hunters aren't gone. They're hibernating, waiting. A new alert flashed across the holographic display. Long-range sensors detecting quantum anomalies at the edge of known space. Patterns that matched perfectly with the ancient records of the Void Hunters. "They're waking up," Marcus said grimly. "The hunt is beginning again. But this time, we're ready for them. Your people perfected the art of the hunt, developed technologies and strategies that could track any prey. My people learned to adapt to any challenge, to turn weaknesses into strengths." Vara's scales had shifted to the deep crimson of battle readiness. You believe together we can hunt creatures that exist beyond normal space-time. Marcus smiled, touching the mark on his arm. That's exactly what we were created to do. The question is, Hunt Commander, are you ready to join me in the greatest hunt in galactic history? The station's systems pulsed with energy, recognizing the convergence of its creator's plan. Around them, ancient machinery hummed to life, preparing for a hunt 50,000 years in the making. The Void Hunters had evolved beyond physical form, beyond normal space-time itself, but they had never faced the combined might of humanity's endless adaptability and the Nexary's perfect hunting prowess. The true hunt was about to begin, and the fate of all life in the galaxy hung in the balance. The ancient station transformed around them, corridors restructuring themselves as dormant systems awakened. Marcus and Vara stood in what had become a vast command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the approaching quantum anomalies. Each display tracked the Void Hunters' movement patterns, their very presence warping space-time around them. They hunt in patterns, Marcus observed, his xenoarchaeologist's mind analyzing the data. Even as beings of pure energy, they still follow predatory behaviors. He gestured to the complex web of intersecting lines that mark their targets' paths through space. They're not random. They're hunting. Vara's scales rippled with the deep green of tactical analysis. Every hunter has patterns, she agreed, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. And patterns can be predicted. She interfaced with the station's systems, her advanced Nexary technology synchronizing seamlessly with the ancient machinery. But these beings exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. How do we trap something that exists everywhere and nowhere at once? Marcus's mark pulsed, and with it came another flash of insight. We don't trap them, he said, eyes widening. We make them trap themselves. He pulled up the station's weapons schematics, showing technology that defied conventional physics. The Alliance didn't just create hunters. They created weapons that could affect quantum state beings, but they couldn't deploy them effectively because they couldn't predict where the Void Hunters would be. Until now, Vara finished, her scales shifting to a brilliant gold of revelation. My people's hunting technology combined with your species' ability to recognize and adapt to patterns. She manipulated the tactical display, overlaying Nexary hunting algorithms with human pattern recognition software. We can predict their movements across quantum states. The station shuddered as its ancient weapons powered up for the first time in 50,000 years. Beyond the viewing ports, massive arrays of crystalline structures began to align themselves, each one humming with enough energy to destabilize space-time itself. We need to warn both our peoples, Marcus said, already composing emergency broadcasts in multiple frequencies. The Void Hunters will target populated systems first. They always hunt the most challenging prey. My hunting fleet is already responding to my signal, Vara confirmed, her communications array lighting up with incoming responses. But they'll need time to adopt these new hunting protocols. Time we may not have. The tactical displays suddenly flared with urgent warnings. One of the quantum anomalies had changed course, moving faster than they predicted. Its new trajectory would take it directly through 3 heavily populated human colonies. They know, Marcus realized, his heart racing. They can sense that we're preparing to hunt them. They're accelerating their timeline. He studied the pattern of the approaching entity, noting its erratic movements. This one's different. It's hunting more aggressively, taking more risks. A young hunter, Vara said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of experience. Eager to prove itself. Dangerous, but predictable. Her scales shifted to the deep crimson of battle readiness. We can use that. Marcus nodded, already seeing the strategy forming. We bait it. Make it think it's found easy prey. He pulled up the schematics of his research vessel. My ship still has the sensor jamming technology I used to escape your hunters. If we modify it with your quantum tracking systems, we can create a signature that will be irresistible to a young Void Hunter. Vara finished, her mandibles clicking with approval. a prey that appears to exist in multiple quantum states, but vulnerable. The station's systems responded to their combined commands, reconfiguring the crystalline arrays into a massive quantum lure. It would be the first true test of their united capabilities, human adaptability, and Nexari hunting prowess working in perfect synchronization. There's no guarantee this will work, Marcus warned, watching as the Void Hunter drew closer. We're betting everything on theories and ancient technology we barely understand. Vara's scales shifted to a color Marcus had never seen before, a deep, resonant purple that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. That's what makes it a worthy hunt, she said, her voice carrying a note of fierce joy. The greatest hunts are those where predator and prey are equally matched, where victory is never certain. The mark on Marcus's arm burned with increasing intensity as the station's weapons reached full power. Through it, he could feel the ancient machinery responding to their combined presence, recognizing the fulfillment of its creator's plan. Humanity's endless capacity for adaptation and the Nexari's perfected hunting prowess, united against an enemy that had once nearly wiped out all life in the galaxy. Then let's show these Void Hunters what it means to be hunted, Marcus said, his hand hovering over the activation controls. Ready to make history, Hunt Commander. Vara's only response was a hunting cry that echoed through the ancient halls, a sound that carried within it 50,000 years of evolutionary purpose. The hunt was about to begin, but this time, the hunters of the void would learn what it meant to be prey. The young Void Hunter materialized in normal space like a tear in reality itself, its form a writhing mass of quantum possibilities that hurt the eyes to look upon. The bait had worked perfectly. Marcus's modified research vessel hung apparently vulnerable in space, its systems broadcasting the exact quantum signature they had designed to attract their prey. Target is approaching the containment zone, Vara announced, her scales shifting through patterns of battle readiness. Around them, the ancient station's crystalline arrays hummed with building power, each one aligned to create a quantum cage that would force their enemy into a single state of existence. Marcus watched the tactical displays, his mark burning with an intensity that matched the station's energy readings. "Wait for it," he cautioned, noting the Void Hunter's movement patterns. "It's testing the prey first, looking for traps." His years of studying predator species hadn't been wasted. Even a being of pure energy followed predictable hunting behaviors. The Void Hunter struck without warning, its form stretching across multiple dimensions as it moved to engulf Marcus's ship. But the vessel wasn't as defenseless as it appeared. The moment the entity made contact, it triggered a cascade of quantum fluctuations designed by combining Nexari hunting technology with human theoretical physics. "Now," Marcus commanded, and Vara activated the station's primary weapons array. Beams of crystalline energy lanced out, not targeting the Void Hunter directly, but creating a complex web of intersecting quantum fields around it. The entity reacted instantly, trying to shift between states to escape. "It's adapting faster than we predicted," Vara warned, her scales pulsing with urgent patterns. "The containment field won't hold it for long." But Marcus was already moving to the next phase of their plan. "It doesn't need to," he said, his fingers flying over the ancient controls. "We just needed it to react exactly as it has." The mark on his arm flared brilliantly, and with it came the station's response, a second layer of quantum fields that didn't try to trap the Void Hunter, but instead matched its quantum shifts perfectly. "What are you doing?" Vara demanded, watching as their quarry's movements became increasingly erratic. "Fighting fire with fire," Marcus explained, his eyes never leaving the tactical display. "We can't force it into a single state, but we can match every state it tries to occupy. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our intelligence. It's our ability to adapt, to mirror our opponents until we understand them completely." The Void Hunter's form flickered wildly as it found itself unable to shift to any state that wasn't already occupied by the station's quantum fields. For the first time in its existence, it was experiencing what its countless victims had felt, the terror of being trapped by a superior predator. Vara's scales shifted to a deep gold of understanding as she saw the strategy unfold. And once we understand them, she said, her hunting instincts recognizing the perfect moment to strike, we can predict exactly where they'll be. Marcus finished. With a final command, he activated the station's primary weapon, not a beam or a bolt, but a precise quantum reversion wave that caught the Void Hunter at the exact moment it tried to shift states again. The effect was spectacular. Forced into a single quantum state and unable to shift away, the entity that had existed beyond normal space-time found itself bound by the laws of conventional physics. Its form collapsed in on itself, compressed by the very forces it had once transcended. But they had no time to celebrate their victory. The tactical displays were lighting up with new warnings. More Void Hunters were emerging from quantum space, drawn by their companions' distress. "They're coming," Vara announced, her voice tight with tension. "Dozens of them. The whole void is stirring." Marcus looked at the approaching quantum signatures, each one representing a being that had once helped drive entire civilizations to extinction. But instead of fear, he felt a fierce joy. This was what both their species had been created for. This perfect moment when predator and prey would prove which was truly superior. "Good," he said, the mark on his arm pulsing with power as the station's systems responded to their combined presence. "Let them come. Humanity has spent its entire existence learning to adapt, to overcome, to turn weakness into strength. Your people have spent 50,000 years perfecting the art of the hunt." He turned to Vara, seeing in her shifting scales the same anticipation he felt. "Together, we're going to teach these ancient hunters what it truly means to be hunted." Around them, the station's crystalline arrays realigned, preparing for the greatest hunt in galactic history. The Void Hunters had evolved beyond physical form, beyond the normal laws of space and time. But they had never faced anything like this, the perfect synthesis of humanity's endless adaptability and the Nexary's hunting prowess. As the first wave of Void Hunters appeared in normal space, Marcus and Vara stood ready at their stations, two apex predators united in purpose. The hunt that would determine the fate of all life in the galaxy was about to begin. And this time, the hunters of the void would learn what it meant to be prey. In that moment, as ancient weapons powered up and battle strategies were laid, both human and Nexari knew with absolute certainty they were exactly where they were meant to be, doing exactly what they had been created to do. The greatest hunt in history was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same.